All right, it's a Wednesday, and Wednesday is usually my day off. And so, usually on a Wednesday morning, I'll get a lot of miscellaneous kind of like admin life stuff sorted. So, in the car today, because we're actually going to be driving to Callum Vale to pick up some of my instruments that I left there the other week, because I was helping Ping, one of Jeff's associates, out with a case. And so they didn't have a sinus lift kit, so I've come in with my personal one and lent it to them for the procedure. And so they've sterilized it, cleaned it, it's ready to get picked up now. So because it's not too far away, I'm just going to drive in, pick it up. I'm one of those people where I kind of lose track of where I keep things, so I have to get it while I remember it and just have it safe and ready in my own hands. So that things just don't go missing all of a sudden. And these kits aren't cheap, they're thousands of dollars. So I want to make sure that I've got all my loose items all in one spot. Jess also has one of my, or two of my kits actually, at Ellie's clinic at Adore. So Jess has said that those have been cleaned up and are ready to bring back now. So she's going to drop over at my place because we don't live too far away from each other, and she's going to drop them off, which will be really good. The other thing is that positive news is that I have heard some people within our group that also want to sign up for the course as well, which will be really nice. I think Lubna wanted to join. Love Lubna. She's awesome. She's really good at rehabs, cosmetics, and ortho, but hasn't really done too much in the way of implants. And then her son, Azrak, who's the nicest guy you'll ever meet, he's just graduating this year from Griffith University, and she wants him to come along and do the course as well. So it'll be really cool to have Azrak there too. That'd be sick. Nicole, one of my mentees, she's interested in getting into implants, and so she wants to do my course, which is really nice of her to do, because I probably would have taught her a lot of stuff, not for free, but as like I guess as part of my role as a mentor to her. And it's not like I get paid to be a mentor, but I like Nicole. She has a good attitude, and I think she will grow to be an amazing clinician at some point too. So overall, pretty positive news. Just a few loose things that I need to get organized. So the other thing that I want to try and get down today was I was talking to Amelia, one of our team members who designs a lot of surgical guides for us and is on the Bredent team as well. I was talking to her yesterday about how to organize producing some guides for the participants in the course. And so I was wondering, like, hey, look, typically to do a guide, you need to do a scan inside of the mouth, you need to do a CBCT X-ray, and then Amelia gets both of those files, the intraoral scan and the X-ray, and she lines them up together. And then she's able to plan out the implant in bone, but also she can plan out where the future tooth is going to be as well, so the implant could be at the right angle. But with a plastic model that participants often use to practice drilling, fillings, or raising flaps and stuff like that, the plastic isn't going to show super good on the X-ray, right? And so it's going to be really hard for her to match up that plastic model with the 3D scan. And she won't be able to see bone as well, it'll just be plastic, right? So it'll be very different. So what we've done is I've gotten the plastic model, I've done a few composite blobs on there. We've scanned the model with the intraoral scanner. We've taken an X-ray of the model as well. And because we've popped little composite blobs on there, hopefully we can line up the composite blobs on the X-ray to the model. And I think Amelia has managed to do that, but she kind of has to guess where things need to go. But I think she's able to do it, so I'm actually pretty happy about that. She was going to send off the case tonight, and then we'll print it off, and then we'll do a few practice runs on it. If the case turns out good, awesome. We know that this workflow works. If not, then we've got to tweak a few things, right? The other thing that I wanted to test as well is that the guide may fit well on the model that I've scanned in for her, but a lot of these models are kind of cheap drilling models. They're not super expensive, but they are nice models to use. So the issue I feel like with cheap models is that they may not be very consistent across all the models there. So a guide might fit well on one model, but on another model, which technically should be the exact same, it may not fit super good. So then we may need to build in some margin of error or tolerances into the guides that we produce so that it fits basically on every single model, so that participants aren't going like, hey, look, my guide doesn't fit now. Like, what do we do here? I don't want to have to run into problems like that. So really want to test out the guides once they've been printed off. Hopefully it'll be sometime this week. And if they're really good, then awesome. We're going to print off a bunch, because not this weekend, but the weekend after, I'm going to be doing a test run with Jeff's group with freehand drilling on the models, guided drilling on the models. And I think that'll be a really good test run of all the exercises that I want them to go through. Now, the other thing that I'll need to organize as well is blades, suture material, and stuff like that, so that they can practice that as well. And I think one more thing that'll be really handy is that one thing that I find difficult when doing drilling is that the models move around a lot because they're not tied down to anything. And so in the mouth, like your mouth is basically tied to someone's head, right? So if they stay perfectly still for you, they've anchored themselves to that spot. But that's not true for little plastic models, which are lightweight and they'll just move around on you. So you kind of need to hold it down while you do the drilling. But sometimes you want to use both hands to do maybe like flap retraction and do the drilling. And so there are times where you need both hands and this model is just moving around everywhere. So I'm thinking of getting maybe some kind of clamping mechanism, whether it's from Bunnings or whatever it is, to be able to clamp down to a table so that you can use your hands for what you're meant to be using them for, which is doing the dentistry inside of the mouth, not holding down a plastic model, right? So I want to get that organized as well. So I need to play around with that. Probably will buy a few random cheapo clamps and then try them out at Kim's place when we practice with Jeff's group, and see how we go with all of that. So that's been a little ramble for today. There are a few other odd jobs that I need to get done as well, but I'll slowly work through the list and hopefully I'll get most of the things done today. All right, probably about 10 minutes away from getting to the clinic at Callumvale to pick up my tools from Erica, and then on to the next task for the rest of the day. All right, we have picked up the Denser kit, the sinus lift kit, and we're just going to be on our way home. And I've actually got some running shoes that are in the corner there that I want to retire because they're my first pair of running shoes and they're pretty worn out at this point. So we're going to head over to a clothing bin and we're going to drop off the shoes. So hopefully someone else can get some use out of them before they completely die off and have a hole through the bottom of them. So let's go to a clothing bin and then just going to get some other jobs done here and there and then have lunch with the parents. All right, we are at the clothing bins. Going to drop off the shoes. Bye-bye. Man, it's at the new Bunnings at Oxley. Place got flooded a few years ago in the floods, and they spent years trying to rebuild this thing, and it's finally been open for the last few months. Hadn't had a chance to check it out, but here I am, trying to find some clamps to hold down the dental models while participants do drilling. I'm clearly in the wrong section. I might have to look it up on the internet or ask someone where it is, but man, the place is ginormous. Parking's underground here, so if it ever did flood again, well, it's just going to flood the car park and the actual store's going to be okay. So pretty smart decision by them, but it did take years to rebuild all of this. So man, got to find those clamps now. Probably going to go with this clamp right here. You can tighten it however you want. It's probably better than one of these clamps, which is kind of like a set amount of tightness there. You can't really clamp down. It is a bit cheaper though at $4. This one's $6. Yeah, gonna go with this one. Yeah, this seems to work okay. Got the clamp onto the table, onto the model. The only downside would be that like we're drilling from the wrong direction. We're coming from the back of the patient's mouth rather than from the front. So, man, I have tried flipping it around. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Around this way to have it facing towards you, which is a much more realistic orientation. But now we've got this ginormous clamp in the way, so I don't know how I feel about that. But either way, as long as we got something stable for the participants to sort of drill on, and that model's not slipping and sliding all over the place, and I think we're okay. But maybe I'll try and figure out a more elegant solution.